You know what this musician told me? He said if a musician is not working, usually he's not practicing anywhere. That's right. That's right. I know this guy down the street. Name is Ralph. And he's been having more gigs than he's ever had. And guess what? I've been seeing Ralph at the karaoke practice thing, that like the jam session that the musicians have on last Sunday. And then sooner or later a gig came. How do you get a gig in the King's Palace? You practice yourself there. How do you feel worthy? See, when you practice something and something is a part of you, you feel confident. I believe the confidence and the worthiness comes from practicing, getting that thing good. And you know, I've seen Michael Jordan out there on that basketball court back in the day, and it was like, what is going on here? He's used to there. He's used to that place. He practices all the time. Alicia Keys said that she used to practice her piano for 3 hours a day. Yeah, and when I saw her on MTV or something, she doesn't even look at the keys. She doesn't need to. She's always there. How do you get a gig in the King's Palace? You practice. You say, I don't feel worthy. Just practice. And tell God to deal with the word that you feeling worthy. And in the meantime, you just keep practicing and just keep on practicing and just keep on practicing. That's where the confidence is going to come from. And sooner or later, that's where the gigs are going to come from too. You know, one thing that baffles me about David playing for the king is, how is it that somebody in the King's Palace knew about David's music? How is that possible? I don't think that anybody in the White House knows that I'm on these internet broadcasts. Do you know anybody from the White House? Well, see, somebody in the King's Palace told the king about David. How did he know about David's music? David was a shepherd. David was a shepherd. That is considered the lowliest of the lowlies back in the day, according to my pastor, who went to pastoral school or whatever he went, and he learned that information and gave it to us. How did somebody in the King's Palace... See, listen, if you told the king misinformation, you could be beheaded and killed. Esther, when she went into the king's yard so she can speak to her king, her husband, she had Israel praying and fasting for 3 days. Yeah, because she could die if the king hadn't summoned her and she went into the king's courtyard. Pharaoh, when he couldn't interpret the dreams, he was like, all y'all gonna die, just cuz. It's like, if none of y'all can interpret these dreams, I'm gonna kill you all. Because he can do that. He's the king. So when that man told Saul about David, he was risking his life. Then one of the servants answered and said, look, I have seen a son of Jesse. So he saw David. He didn't say, I know a son. He saw him. Where did he see him at? He said, I have seen a son of Jesse the Bethlehemite. He is skillful in playing, a mighty man of valor, a man of war, prudent in speech, and a handsome person, and the Lord is with him. David was out and about using his gifts and talents because somebody in the White House spotted him. That's right. And because he was doing what thus said the Lord, he got a gig in the king's palace. Do you think that David would have got a gig playing for King Saul if he hadn't been practicing his harp?